If we want to know who women are and who men are, we need to look at the designer. And we want to see that women were designed to nurture and, in fact, to be the nurturer of nations. We see in Genesis chapter 2, God made the man, and he put the man in the garden. But then God makes this statement that it is not good for man to be alone. And we see that God's original intention in Genesis chapter 1 is to make us in his image, make them in his image, male and female. It takes a female and a male, a masculine and a feminine, to fully reflect God's whole nature. And we find in Genesis 2 that God has made Adam out of the ground. And again we find a wordplay, like we saw a wordplay between Ish and Isha. We find a wordplay here between Adam and Adamah. By the way, the word Adam is used in three ways. It is the generic form of mankind, humankind, man. It is also the name of the first human being, Adam. So the word Adam is used in three ways: as the first human being, as generic human being, and as a particular human, Adam, the name Adam. But there is a play on words. In Genesis 3:23 it says, God made Adam out of the Adamah to till the Adamah and to bring forth life. So Adam, the first human being, was born out of the earth, Adamah, for the purpose of tilling the earth, Adamah, to bring forth life, the abundance of the garden. Thus, the first Adam and his family were to act as God's servants by obeying him and maintaining the divinely created and intended relationship vertically and horizontally. Human beings have a vertical relationship with God and a horizontal relationship with creation. Another way to say it is that human beings stand at the intersection between earth and heaven. Human beings stand at the intersection of time and eternity. We are the one creatures that stand at that intersection. And here we find the concept of this being expressed in this poetic expression of Adam and Adamah. But we find in Genesis 2:20, the second part, but for Adam no suitable helper was found. Adam was alone. Now the question, was Adam really alone? Why would God have said Adam was alone? Because Adam had a perfect, unbroken relationship with the Creator. How could God say it's not good for man to be alone? In Christendom today, we talk about the need for human beings to have their relationship with God restored. And that Christ's coming and his death on the cross allows for the restoration of the relationship between God and man. Here, there's an unbroken relationship between God and man. the most primary, the most basic relationship between God and man. It's unbroken. And yet God says it's not good for Adam to be alone. Adam also had the garden and the animals. He had relationships with creation. On that level of a creature in creation, he is not alone. And yet God said it's not good for man to be alone. So what is God saying? He's saying that Adam is alone in kind. Yes, he has a relationship with God. Yes, he has a relationship with creation. But there is none other like him. He is alone in kind. His counterpart is missing. Remember, by design, God is reflecting His nature through male and female. That's the design. A single male cannot reflect all that it means to be made in the image of God. Two males cannot reflect all that it means to be made in the image of God. It takes male and female. And for Adam, there was one male, but his counterpart was missing. He was alone in kind. His complement, his equal yet different counterpart was missing. I love this part of the picture that Michelangelo painted for the Sistine Chapel. This is the moment of the creation of Adam. And you see Adam on the left and God on the right, pictured as this old man. And the right hand of God is reaching out, and the left hand of Adam is reaching out, and you cannot tell when you're in the chapel looking up at the ceiling. You can't tell if their fingers are touching. But in the photograph of the ceiling, you can tell there's just a moment of separation. Adam has been created, and he is the first human being. Where is Eve? Adam is the crown of creation, but Eve is not there yet. But she is not unthought of. If you look under the left arm of God, you will see the figure of a woman. That is Eve. She has been conceived, but she has not been brought forth into life yet. And how is she going to be born into life? Not from the dust of the ground, but from the man. It takes male and female counterparts for the task of procreation, of creating life, which is part of the cultural mandate. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. That is the first part of the cultural mandate in Genesis 1. And the second part is to steward the creation, to govern over what God has made. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and have dominion, have stewardship, govern what I have made. And it takes male and female both to procreate and to govern. Male and female, it takes both to procreate and both to govern. These are not identical beings. They are complementary beings. And it takes the complementary beings to procreate and govern. The first Adam came from the ground, Adamah. The second and complementary Adam, female, was formed from the first Adam. The man's source was the ground, and the woman's source was the man. And we find here another one of Michelangelo's pictures at the moment that God brings forth Eve from the side of Adam. A very famous pastor named John Engel said this: "She was not taken from the head to show she was not to rule over him, nor from his foot to teach that she was not to be a slave, nor from his hand to show that she was not to be his tool, but from his side to show that she was to be his companion." They complemented each other. She didn't just complement him. The very nature of a complementary relationship is they each complement the other. So here is no slave to be ill-treated. And I say this to those of you who are viewing this lecture. The woman is not property to be bought and sold. She is no sex object for a man's pleasure. Here is one not to be despised and crushed by sexism, nor to be run from as feminism. Sexism and feminism, radical feminism, both do not understand the nature of feminine and female, of masculine and male. Here is the crown of creation. In fact, the man is the crown, and the woman is the crown of the crown. Here, in human form, from the hand of the Creator himself, is the manifestation of the maternal heart of God. Here is the mother of all the living, the wife of the first man. Here is the counterpart of the man, providing what he is unable to provide. Please hear that. Here is the counterpart, providing what he is unable to provide. Here is the prequel to none other than the bride of the Son of God, the one who is worthy of God himself. There are a million things that a woman is free to do. There is one thing she has been designed to do above all else: to nurture the next generation. Women are free to do whatever they want to do. But they have been designed for one particular purpose, above all else: to nurture the next generation. Women, in the very fiber of their being, have been made to nurture the nations. What does the word nurture mean? In the Hebrew, it means to feed, to sustain, to nourish, and to hold, to cherish. And in the Greek, it means to feed or nourish or bring up, to raise up. And this Greek word comes from another Greek word which means to nourish a person or a thing, and metaphorically, to educate, to form the mind. It is not simply to physically nurture, but it is to shape the soul. The second word, meaning of nurture, is the Greek word paideia, and we normally hear this word in the concept of education. Paideia means to nurture, to instruct, and it means chastisement, to give shape to. This is what's right and this is what's wrong, to steer. The whole training and education of children, this is paideia. And it relates to the cultivation of the mind and the cultivation of character, of human virtue. When we think today of education, there is very little cultivation of virtue in our schools today. And there's becoming less cultivation of the mind in our schools today. But paideia is education, and this concept is related to the idea of nurturing the soul, nurturing the character. Its aim is to increase virtue, virtuous lives. And that's a word that is largely gone from our vocabulary, the word virtue. To nurture relates to the transcendent nature of being female. And to nurse is a physical manifestation of that nurture. So when a woman is nursing her baby, that is a physical manifestation of something that is transcendent. It is the nurturing of that child. And that's why when a woman is looking at her baby, when she is nursing the baby, there is a soul-to-soul contact going on here. This is the nurturing. The English word nurse means to tend an infant or to nurture at the breast. It means to manage with care and economy with a view to increase. So the woman manages with care and economy the growth, the healthy development of the child. These words reflect an intimate relationship between the mother and the child. Physical comfort, growth, the reaching of potential. Paideia, education that entails both knowledge and the development of virtue. We need to encourage women to regain their uniqueness, to come to understand who the Creator of the universe designed them to be. The nurturer of a child and the nurturer of nations. A friend of mine, Ana Santos, gave me this quote, and I've spent hours trying to find out where it came from, and I have not found a source, but it's a remarkable quote. Our generation is becoming so busy trying to prove that women can do what men can do, that women are losing their uniqueness. Women were created to do everything a man can't do. Women were created to do everything a man can't do. But because in sexist culture and feminist culture, the male is the virtuous one, that in feminist culture, women are doing everything they can to become like men. Anne Crittenden was one of the women that I've used extensively in developing this material. Anne Crittenden was an economist and a writer And she did a lot. For many years, she wrote for newspapers and journals about economics. And at one point, she was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize for her work in writing about economics. She didn't get the prize, but she was nominated for it. So she was well known, and in social circles, when she was at a party, everybody wanted to talk with her because she was Anne Crittenden. And Anne got married and had a baby, and she left her career in journalism to be a mother. And when she became a mother, the reaction of people was very negative. And one time she was at a party with her husband, and someone came up to her and said, "Didn't you used to be Anne Crittenden?" She was still Anne Crittenden. But she had left a career to be a mother. So she was no longer Anne Crittenden. She lost her identity because she became a mother. This is feminism. She became very angry with the fact that now she was a mother, she was not recognized. And she wrote a book. I think it's called The Cost of Motherhood or The Price of Motherhood, something like that. It's a profound book. And this is one of the gems from her book. Mothers themselves often refer to the essence of child rearing as simply being there, putting one's time at the disposal of another, and signaling that the other's needs come ahead of one's own. The materialistic world puts the individual at the center of the world, and you are there for yourself. And you have a child, and you're not there for the child, you are there for yourself. And very often people today are having a single child just to say, "I had a kid." But they're not there as fathers and mothers for the children. The kid is just like a new toy for themselves. And this is what Anne Crittenden experienced when she turned her back on her career to fully face being there for her child. She ceased to exist in the face of the modern world as Anne Crittenden. And this is what the book Being There is all about, and Erica Commissar has discovered in her years of working with families that are broken. There is something in the design of children and in the design of women and mothers of an attachment that is absolutely vital for the health not only of the infant, but the health of that infant to set up their future as a teenager and as an adult. Simply being there. Again, the author here is unknown, but the lioness does not try to be the lion. She embraces her role as the lioness. She is powerful, strong, and nurturing. She does not mistake her meekness for weakness. The world needs more kind, compassionate, humble, faithful, persevering, confident, fierce, bold, pure, and tender-hearted women. The lioness does not look at the lion and say, "I want to be a lion." She celebrates her being a lioness. Eve, the life giver. Mothers and women, the nurturer of nations. And you may never have a child, but you have been designed as the nurturer of a generation. Celebrate that. We as people, men and women, are to celebrate the nurturers of nations.